To continue testing, we'll verify that when a user types values into our input element, that those values are accepted. We can select this input element by its label, AddTodo, just like a user would, specifically a user with an assistive technology device. The React testing library provides a method, GetByLabelText, which allows us to select the element using the label text. If the element is found, we can use it to interact with the element in our test. If the element is not found, an error will be thrown indicating that the element was not found, which is what we would want if we expect that this element is actually in our DOM. Because this is the input element, we'll create a variable called input and set it equal to GetByLabelText. And I'll use a regular expression with case insensitive to find an element with the text AddTodo, because I don't care if the text is uppercase or lowercase. I simply want to find this element that has the text AddTodo, which will also make our selector resilient to changes if any letters in our selection AddTodo is changed from upper to lower or vice versa. We can verify that the element was found by simply running our test again, and it'll say it's passed. However, if I add some extra characters in here and save to run our test again, you notice that this time the test fails because the element was not able to be found. In order to interact with our input element, we can use a method from the testing library called fire event. And this will allow us to actually fire an event on our input. In this case, what we want to do is fire a change event. We'll pass in the input, which is the element that we want to interact with. Then we'll pass in an object, and we'll pass in the target, and that's set equal to another object, and we'll say the value would be a new to do. Now that we've executed a change event, we can make an assertion. So we'll say expect input.value contain a new to do. We'll save our file, which will rerun our test, and it passes. And notice, since we're still using the debug method, that we can see the rendered output. And if you look at value, you see it's set to a new to do, which is again very useful to help us visually see the expected output as we interact with our component. The last thing we can test is that our submit button fires the mock AddTodo function whenever it is clicked. To select this submit button, we see that it has the text AddTodo. So we can use the method GetByText in order to select this element. And since this is the submit button, we'll create a button called submit button and set it equal to GetByText. We'll use our regular expression again with case insensitive, so we don't care if it's uppercase or lowercase. We're just looking for a button with the text AddTodo. We'll save that, make sure there's no errors, and the test still passes, so we know that this element was successfully found. Now we can fire an event on our submit button, and this event will be a click event. We'll pass in the submit button. And now that we fired an event, we can make an assertion. So what we're expecting is that our mock AddTodo method has been called. And we can also assert that our mock AddTodo method has been called exactly one time. We'll save the file to rerun the test, and everything passes. So in review, we imported the GetByLabelText method, which allowed us to select our input element. And we also imported the fire event method from the React testing library, which allowed us to invoke a change event on our input element. And then we made an assertion that what we typed into our input was actually there. Then we imported the GetByText method, which allowed us to select our submit button by its text value. And then we fired a click event and then made two assertions that our mock AddTodo method has been called and that it had been called exactly one time.